Putrajaya has extended the movement control order for another 2 weeks as the number of new cases continues to rise by the hundreds every day. This means the restrictions will be enforced until April 14th. Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin was briefed by the Health Ministry and National Security Council today. He said the number of new infections is expected to continue on the uptrend for a while before the curve flattens. The PM added there is also the possibility that the nationwide movement curbs are extended again. Malaysia reported 172 new cases today, bringing the total to 1,796. 199 have been discharged, while 19 have succumbed to the virus. A think tank is calling on Putrajaya to set aside an extraordinary crisis budget totaling 75 billion ringgit as companies wobble and millions stand to lose their jobs in the looming recession. MIER Chairman Tan Sri Datuk Dr. Kamal Saleh issued a statement prior to the PM's announcement that the movement control order would be extended. He said, assuming the movement curbs go on for another 2 weeks after March 31st, Malaysia may face economic decline, with real GDP shrinking by about 2.9% this year. This would result in some 2.4 million people becoming jobless, 67% of whom would be unskilled workers. He also projected that household incomes would fall by 12% relative to the baseline, which amounts to 95 billion ringgit. That would lead to a sharp decline in consumer spending by 11%. As such, he proposed that Putrajaya set aside a larger allocation and review its fiscal policy, including Budget 2020. It should also revisit the country's overall socio-economic goals and move from commodity-based agriculture to food-based crops. Putrajaya will be revealing a more comprehensive economic stimulus package this Friday to follow the 20 billion ringgit injection announced last month. Bank Negara is allowing lenders to tap into their capital buffers and providing flexibility on several operating guidelines as the nation grapples with the impact of the COVID-19 outbreak. For one, banking institutions will be allowed to draw down on the capital conservation buffer of 2.5%. Banks may also tap their regulatory reserves and operate below the minimum liquidity coverage ratio of 100%. BNM says the banking system is facing these challenges from a position of strength, with excess capital buffers above the minimum requirement of 119.7 billion ringgit as at end January 2020. It fully expects banking institutions to restore their buffers within a reasonable period after December 31st, 2020. Meanwhile, the implementation of the net stable funding ratio will proceed on July 1st as scheduled, but with a lower ratio of 80%. The central bank's announcement comes after it granted an automatic 6-month moratorium on loan repayments to SMEs and individuals amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Meanwhile, credit card holders facing financial constraints may choose to convert their credit card balance to term loans. The United States has lifted a ban on WRP Asia Pacific, the medical glove maker it had accused of using forced labor amid a surge in demand for equipment to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. Quoting a statement by the US Customs and Border Protection, Reuters reports that disposable rubber gloves made by the Sepang-based company were made admissible at all US ports of entry after March 16, 2020. It said the ban placed on WRP last September was revoked based on recent information showing the company no longer produces its gloves under forced labor conditions. WRP has the capacity to produce more than 11 billion gloves a year. The US is the world's biggest consumer of medical gloves per person. It has reported some 53,000 COVID-19 cases and nearly 700 fatalities. Astro Malaysia says fourth quarter net profit rose 17% year-on-year to 138.9 million ringgit, helped by lower staff-related costs. Quarterly revenue fell 10% to 1.2 billion ringgit. Astro declared an interim dividend of 1.5 cents per share. For the full financial year ended January 31st, Astro saw its net profit increase 42% to 655.3 million ringgit, while revenue declined 10% to 4.9 billion ringgit. The group says the COVID-19 pandemic presents an unprecedented challenge to businesses around the world, adding that Astro has instituted its business continuity plan and has teams split across different sites and working from home. It says it remains focused on strengthening its customer value proposition and loyalty while pursuing deeper cost optimization and stronger anti-piracy push. The broadcaster also aims to leverage on its customer base to build new revenue adjacencies in commerce, broadband, digital and OTT.